Well, I am feeling tropical. Summer is coming up quickly, and I saw these silicone molds, got them, and decided to work with alcohol inks. I think the results are pretty cool. Hi everybody, it's Jana here from Moonkusser Art. I'm going to be doing a real quick tutorial today. I'll be using the Epoxy Resin Store's, their Clearcast 750. It's a casting resin. It has a really high fluidity to it. And I'm using this on purpose. So you guys might notice that this is the hardener. I have had this resin for quite a while on my shelf. I want to say a year and a half. And that's a long time to be keeping resin on your shelf. And you can see that the hardener has a yellow tint to it. Now it's a pale yellow, and one of the things you can do with resin that has started to yellow while it's in storage is you can use colors that are going to make it so that it's really not noticeable. It's not going to affect the way that the resin cures at all, so that's not a problem. And this is a 2-to-1 resin, so it's 1 part of the hardener and 2 parts of the resin component. You guys know I always like to put the hardener component in my cup first, so that's why that's already in there. I'm adding the resin component on top. I've marked my container here so that I know exactly how much I need. Almost there. I take my time. I kind of lean back. You guys can't see me off camera, but I'm leaning back and getting a look to make sure that it's at the line. You kind of, with the resin, because it's so thick, it goes in like honey, and you want to make sure you give it time to settle into the container so that you get your proper measurement. So I'm just going to mix this up real quick. All right, so that's all done, and you can see I put, I have the white paper here on the tabletop, but you can see that it just has a barely yellow tint to it at all. It's just a slight tint of yellowing because the resin component was still clear. It was only the hardener component that was going yellow, and because that is only 1 part and the resin is 2 parts, it's very workable. Okay, so now I'm going to pop this into my vacuum chamber and get those bubbles out. So let me go do that. I came back real quick because I forgot to tell you, if I'm using a vacuum chamber to get those bubbles out, there's really minimal bubbles because this is a casting resin, so it's better for bubbles. But you don't want to use a container where it's so close to the top. You have to allow for expansion of the bubbles in the container. And if I were to use this small container where the level of where the resin is, it would just bubble right up and over and make a huge mess. So I'm going to put my resin into a larger container. All right, into the vacuum chamber, and I like to do 3 pulls on the pressure in this chamber. So you'll see it come up and go down 3 times, and that really works well to reduce the bubbles greatly in the resin and makes it easy to pour. All right, there she is. So what we are going to do today, I got these off of Amazon. It's just a set of silicone molds. They were on sale, and I've seen other people have used them, and I thought they were pretty. So what the heck, we'll use it. So we're going to be using, again, there's our 6 ounces of resin. I'm going to be putting at least 4 in here, if not more. and we'll see how much this takes. And you guys know I like to have my ducks in a row, so I have my chips. I'm not getting fancy. It's my first time using these molds, so why not do tropical greens? So I have, this is from Let's Resin. It's a really nice dark green. And I have on the side, this is, believe it or not, this is Pinata's Rainforest Green. So here it is in the bottle. It's a really dark green. And here it is in resin. It turns a really pretty dark teal. So I might add that. Like I said, I'm keeping it on the side. But for now, Let's Resin, their green is going to be my dark green. I've got Pinata Lime Green. It's a really nice lime green color. And I have Ranger's Botanical. I don't think I've used this one in a project before, so I'm excited to use that. And also Ranger, one of their pearls. This is called Envy. And it has just a real touch of a sparkle in there. It's really pretty to use. I like it. I have used that one in some other projects. So those are my greens. And I'm also going to be using, instead of using the Pinata white, their Blanco, I'm going to use Let's Resin's white. It does not sink as much as Pinata's white does. And Ranger also has a white, but you don't want to use that in a mold situation. It just does not work well. It's great on Yupo paper, but not in a situation. So Let's Resin has what they call their normal white, and they call their deeper white. So the deeper white supposedly is the one that will drive the inks down in there. So I have my mold release. I don't want to ruin my brand new molds, so I'm going to spritz them with that. Make sure that they will be able to come out of get the resin out of there. Now this one here has a thin stem, so that's always a little bit trickier to use. So let's get the resin in there and we'll start adding our drops and we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm using the bulk of the resin in the larger mold, of course, and it was about a 2-to-1 split as far as the quantity of the resin that I put in there. I'm now using a toothpick and I'm very carefully, very lightly removing any bubbles at the edges. Those can be really troublesome in the long run. So if you take your time and just work the areas really carefully, you can get those bubbles to rise up to the surface, and then they're not going to be a problem. So let's start dropping the inks in. The Ranger Pearl inks tend to clog up, so I keep a pin handy so that I can open up that bottle and get the resin to flow nicely. I went from dark to light. I start with the pearl effect because I really want that to show up. And then I move to the darker colors and I top it off with the Let's Resin, their deeper white. And that's what gives that great effect. I go back over, I repeat the colors, and then come back over one more time with that white. And we're gonna get that covered up good. Then I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm going to drag it through the resin and get a swirl effect. And that works really good for this leaf mold. It really presented itself well. Good morning. We are ready to take these out of the molds. It has been about 15 hours and I can feel that they are slightly bendy. You can see I have my gloves on. I always recommend putting your gloves on because one time when I was taking my stuff out of its mold, I did get a fingerprint and had to work on getting that removed. Not a big deal, but managed to do it. But anyway, so these are slightly bendy, so I'm going to be careful. We'll start with the little one and pop them out of their molds and see how it looks. And this one, let's pick it up and see, make sure it's not too bendy. Yep, that one's okay too. So they're still going to need a little bit more time to cure, but we can get them out of those molds. So let me film that, and then we'll check out how they look. All right, so here they are. We flip it over. Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Has a nice look to it. Happy with that. And ready, set, go. Oh, that one's even better. Even better. All right. All right. This is what I consider to be the bottom of the leaves. And I was going to, because like some of these points are really sharp, because you get that cupping. You guys see how that shine over there? That's a lip edge, because when the resin meets the mold, it's a phenomenon that it wants to roll up at the edges. It's not going to be flat. So I usually sand that down. But I don't want to do that, because my worry is, because it's alcohol ink, it's very close to the surface. And if I start sanding, then I'm going to remove that color, and I don't want to do that. So what I've decided to do is I am going to dome it on the back. So not really dome it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a coat of resin so that it actually fills that in. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because that's what I'm going to do. Here we go. Here is, I do apologize. I was filming, and yeah, the phone was not on, what do you call it? Do not disturb. So somebody sent a text, and that kicked my phone off, and I didn't get to film the doming part. So essentially what I do is I was using a pinched paper cup and pouring into these areas, and then I took my handy dandy toothpick and I actually brought it right up to the edges, that lip edge. And now you can see by the shine, you can see by the shine of the light, I think you can, that instead of a lip edge, I now have a domed edge. See how that domed up? It's just a nice slight little rollover. I was careful that I didn't put so much in there that it would drip over those edges, because that would make for the need of cleanup. So anyway, so that really worked nicely. I'm happy. Oh, damn. Klutzy. I'm happy with that look. I really kind of like this side, actually. Pretty. So let's look at the big one here. Same thing. Got a nice dome at the edges. Looks good. And pick it up. Try not to. There. Okay, so the edges stayed clean. So I don't want to start turning it over and letting it rest, because it's only been it's been like 9 hours since I did that on the back. And I'm gonna let that sit. I have not decided, can you guys see the detail in there? I'm trying to decide if I want to do a gold edge or if I want to just leave it green. Yeah, I don't know what I want to do with that. I hope you enjoyed my video. and I hope you give this a try. All the products are listed in the description box along with any codes I can offer you. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and see you here on Moonkusser Art next time.